Across the vast and unforgiving steppe, beneath an endless sky, rose a force that would change the world. The Mongols, a people forged by the harshest elements, led by a vision fierce as their arrows and swift as their horses, carved out an empire that stretched from the Siberian peaks to the sands of Persia. This empire was born of steel, fire, and a relentless spirit that knew no borders. But there is more to the Mongols than tales of conquest and battlefield glory. Beyond the legends of Genghis and Kublai, beyond their thunderous charge, lay a quieter, more profound legacy, a revolution of words. The power of the Mongol Empire wasn't only in its armies, but in symbols and scripts, in letters and lines that would carry the soul of the steppe into the annals of history. Today, we uncover the story of a script that transcended time and conquest, a story written not in blood, but in ink, a legacy that speaks of unity, resilience, and cultural might. This is the story of the Mongol alphabet. Long before the Mongol Empire cast its shadow across continents, the people of the steppe lived by firelight and memory. They roamed the endless plains in small clans, families bound not by walls but by kinship, tradition, and stories. Every clan, every tribe, held a wealth of tales, whispered secrets of ancestors and battles, songs of heroism, and sacred wisdom passed down through the generations. For them, history was not written. It was carried on the wind, woven into song, and recited under star-filled skies, where each word could vanish with the dawn. Ink and parchment were unknown here. Stories lived only in voices and memories. But as the 13th century dawned, so did a powerful vision. A vision born in the mind of one man, Genghis Khan. With his sweeping unification of the clans, his dream grew larger than the steppe itself. He envisioned an empire, one that would bind together distant lands, vast territories, and peoples speaking different tongues. Yet, Genghis knew that to make this dream endure, words would have to take on a different form. Oral tradition alone could not capture the weight of an empire. To bind his realm together, he needed something revolutionary. A script. Not just any script, but one that could hold the laws, treaties, commands, and memories of his people. A written language that could carry the voice of the Mongols beyond any horizon. But creating a script was no small feat for a people with no native alphabet. And so, in an unexpected decision, Genghis turned to an outsider. In 1208, Genghis Khan defeated the Naimans, a Turkic tribe living in Central Asia, and captured their Uyghur scribe, Tata Tunga. Genghis knew that creating a new script from scratch would take decades, perhaps even centuries. So, he turned to something more immediate, an existing script. He looked to the Uyghur script, a writing system already used by the Turkic peoples of Central Asia, and adapted from the ancient Aramaic alphabet. Tata Tunga, tasked with a mission to create a script that could serve the empire, began the monumental task of adapting the Uyghur script to Mongolian. With a steady hand and deep knowledge, Tata Tunga would adapt the old Uyghur script to shape something new, the first written Mongol language, marking the beginning of a quieter, more enduring conquest. The alphabet created by Tata Tunga is now known as the Old Uyghur script, the classical or traditional Mongol script, or Mongol Bechig in Mongolian. The Uyghur script, with its elegant vertical strokes, was practical, yet sophisticated. Its fluidity made it easy to write quickly, a feature that suited the Mongol court's fast-moving, war-driven lifestyle. It was a foreign script, but its adaptability for the Mongol language was undeniable. While the Uyghur script was well-suited to Turkic languages, its sounds did not always align with those of Mongolian. The Mongols added diacritical marks, tiny symbols, to represent the unique sounds of their tongue, making it more precise and fully functional for their needs. What emerged was a refined script that retained the elegant vertical alignment, a rarity in the world of writing systems, where most scripts read left to right or right to left. This one ran top to bottom, just like the steppe itself, endless, untamed, yet structured. This newly adapted Mongolian script was not only a practical tool, it became a symbol of the Mongols' unity. For the first time, the scattered tribes of the steppe had a shared written language, one that could transcend the geographical boundaries of their empire. And with it, Genghis Khan's vision of a unified Mongol empire began to take permanent form. From Persia to China, the Mongols sent written orders, decrees, and communications, each one penned in the newly minted Mongolian script. It was used for tax records, military strategies, and most importantly, to codify the laws that would govern this vast empire. This was not just ink on parchment. It was the foundation of a new world. With this script, the Mongols chronicled their deeds, victories won, enemies vanquished, alliances forged. It became the written voice of an empire that had once been divided, now bound together through the power of the written word. The Mongolian script was no longer just a tool of administration. It had become a reflection of the Mongol spirit, enduring, evolving, and ready to be passed down through the ages. As the Mongol Empire passed into the hands of Kublai Khan, the role of the Mongolian script underwent a profound shift. Kublai, the grandson of Chinggis, was a ruler, unlike his forebears. While the Mongol Empire had been forged in the fire of conquest, Kublai saw the empire's strength not only in its armies, but in its culture, knowledge, and influence. A scholar at heart, he recognized that true power lay not just in military might, but in the ability to unify diverse peoples under a shared intellectual and cultural vision. Under Kublai's reign, the Mongolian script was officially embraced, but his ambitions reached far beyond mere administrative use. Kublai understood that to bridge the vast territories under his rule, he needed more than just a functional script. He needed a script that could carry the richness of Mongol tradition while absorbing the wisdom of his conquered lands, China, Tibet, and Central Asia. And so, the script began its transformation from a tool of governance into a symbol of cultural prestige. Influenced by scholars from the heart of China and the monasteries of Tibet, Kublai Khan saw the script as a vessel for the exchange of ideas. No longer was it merely used for military commands or tax records. It was now a means to translate sacred Buddhist texts, Chinese philosophy, and imperial edicts. Kublai commissioned the translation of classical Chinese works into Mongolian, embedding his empire not only in the language of the steppe, but also in the intellectual legacy of China's ancient dynasties. For Kublai, the Mongolian script became more than just a functional writing system. It was an emblem of his reign's cultural ambition. Scholars and monks used the script to record Buddhist sutras, texts once written in Sanskrit and Tibetan. But these translations were not simple tasks. The Mongolian script had to evolve, adapt, and refine itself to capture the complexity of religious and philosophical thought. And therefore, the script became an instrument of intellectual expansion. It was no longer just the language of the Mongols, but the language of knowledge, spiritual discovery, and scholarly exchange. As Buddhist teachings spread through the Mongol Empire, the script underwent subtle refinements, allowing it to convey the intricate nuances of Buddhist doctrine. For Kublai, this wasn't just a matter of governance. It was an effort to tie his Mongol court to the broader world of learning and wisdom. Under his leadership, the Mongolian script became a bridge between the nomadic traditions of the steppe and the intellectual currents of China, Tibet, and beyond. It was a script that spoke to both the warrior and the scholar, a mark of prestige that elevated the empire as a center of culture, religion, and knowledge. Through this script, Kublai Khan's ambition to merge the old and the new, the East and the West, would resonate long after his reign. As the 14th century unfolded, the once unified Mongol Empire, forged by the indomitable will of Genghis Khan, began to fracture. The vast expanse of land, once under the firm grip of a single ruler, splintered into competing khanates, each pulling in different directions as ambition, power, and politics shifted the course of history. The great empire that had stretched from the cold steppes of Siberia to the warm deserts of Persia was no more. Its legacy now divided into 4 distinct khanates. With the fall of the Yuan dynasty in 1368, the Mongolian script's status as the symbol of a unified empire began to fade. In China, the script became a relic of a bygone era, preserved only by the remnants of the Mongol nobility and the heartlands of Mongolia itself. For most of the empire's former territories, the Mongolian script no longer held the same significance. It was no longer the binding force it once had been. Yet even as the empire splintered, the script endured, adapted, twisted, and reshaped by the cultures and languages that emerged in its wake. In Persia, the remnants of the Ilkhanate, now deeply entwined with Persian culture, began to merge the Mongolian script with the delicate art of Persian calligraphy. The Mongolian vertical strokes blended with the flowing Persian elegance, creating a hybrid form of writing that reflected both cultures. In Central Asia, the Chagatai Khanate experimented with different script forms, incorporating Turkic and local influences into the Mongolian script. The script, once a symbol of unity, now struggled to fit the diverse languages and dialects that spread across the khanates. The script's original design, tailored for the Mongolian language, now faced the challenge of representing a patchwork of local tongues and regional customs. Meanwhile, in the northern reaches of the empire, the Golden Horde in Russia adapted the Mongolian script to fit the Turkic dialects spoken in the region. The script that had once carried the commands of Genghis Khan's unified empire was now stretched and strained, attempting to maintain its relevance in a world divided by borders, politics, and shifting identities, as each khanate sought to maintain a sense of legitimacy by holding on to the past, by tying themselves to the legacy of Genghis Khan. The Mongolian script endured as a fragile thread connecting the fragmented empire. It was no longer the unifying force it once had been, but rather a reminder of a time when the Mongols ruled a vast and cohesive world. Though the ties between the successor states grew more tenuous, the script survived, quietly passing from generation to generation as a relic of a forgotten era. The Mongolian script, once the language of an empire that spanned continents, had become a ghost of its former self, a symbol of the great empire's fragmentation. Yet, even as the empire faded into the annals of history, the script endured, carrying the echoes of a time when the Mongol people stood united, their written words carrying their power across the world. Centuries after the Mongol Empire had fragmented, Mongolia found itself at the crossroads of a new era, one that would bring both external influence and profound internal change. The 20th century heralded a new chapter in Mongolia's history as the winds of geopolitics shifted. The Soviet Union cast a long shadow over the land of the steppes. By the 1940s, Mongolia had become more than just a remote landmass. The Soviet Union, wary of the growing influence of China, saw Mongolia as a vital strategic ally. As a result, the Soviet Union sought to extend its ideological reach, and the Mongolian government found itself at the mercy of Soviet political pressure. Amid this turbulent time, one of the most consequential shifts in Mongolia's cultural history occurred. The Cyrillic alphabet, a writing system that had been used in Russia for centuries, was imposed upon the Mongolian people. The decision was not just about language. It was about control, modernization, and aligning Mongolia with Soviet ideals. The Soviet Union viewed the Mongolian script, rooted deeply in the traditions of the steppe, as an impediment to modern progress. The traditional Mongolian script, with its intricate flowing lines, was considered inefficient and outdated by Soviet advisors. It was seen as a relic of the past, a symbol of Mongolia's nomadic heritage that no longer had a place in a rapidly modernizing world. To the Soviets, Cyrillic represented a tool for modernization and unity, a way to integrate Mongolia into the broader socialist bloc, and away from its historical ties to China. And so, in 1941, the Mongolian government officially adopted Cyrillic as its national script. The change was swift, sweeping through the country like a storm. School children were taught to read and write in Cyrillic, a new alphabet that could express the sounds of the Mongolian language more efficiently, but at a cost. For many Mongolians, this new script was an alien force, a stark departure from the elegant, vertical strokes of the Mongolian script that had defined their culture for centuries. The decision to adopt Cyrillic was bittersweet for many. On the one hand, it facilitated communication with the Soviet Union and integrated Mongolia into a broader international sphere, aligning it with the forces of modernity. On the other hand, it severed the connection to an ancient script, a link to the grandeur of the Mongol Empire and the traditions of the steppes. For those who had grown up learning the traditional script, this new system felt like a break from the past, a rupture in the cultural fabric of the nation. As the Soviet influence deepened, Cyrillic became the dominant script across the country. The Mongolian script, once the foundation of the nation's written history, was pushed into the shadows, relegated to the status of a curiosity for scholars and antiquarians. It became a symbol of Mongolia's old world, a symbol of a time when the Mongols, united under the banner of Genghis Khan, ruled a vast empire across Asia. Yet even as Cyrillic took hold, the traditional Mongolian script did not entirely fade from existence. In rural villages, in monasteries, and the hands of a few dedicated scholars, the old script persisted. Elders, scholars, and calligraphers held on to it with reverence, preserving its beauty and meaning for future generations. While Cyrillic became the face of modern Mongolia, the traditional Mongolian script quietly endured, like an echo of a time long past, waiting to be rediscovered. As the Soviet Union crumbled and Mongolia stood on the brink of a new era, the winds of change swept across the land. Freed from the grip of Soviet influence, the people of Mongolia found themselves standing at a crossroads where the past and the future collided. It was a moment of profound awakening, a resurgence of national pride and cultural introspection. After decades of imposed alienation, the Mongols began to look inward once more. They yearned to reclaim what was once theirs, to reconnect with a heritage that had been stifled under foreign rule. In the 1990s, as Mongolia embraced its newfound independence, a quiet revolution began to stir. A deep-rooted desire to restore the traditional Mongolian script took hold, reigniting a flame that had long been smoldering. The Mongolian script, once the written heartbeat of the empire, was now seen not only as a linguistic tool but as a cultural lifeline, a bridge to the past that could guide the country into the future. The government, recognizing the importance of this cultural revival, took the first steps towards reintroducing the traditional script to the national consciousness. Schools began offering lessons on the script, and scholars, poets, and artists rallied behind its cause. It became more than just a symbol of language. It became a symbol of national identity, an embodiment of the resilience and strength that had shaped the Mongol Empire. In classrooms and cultural centers across Mongolia, young minds once again began to trace the delicate strokes of the traditional script. The script that had once adorned the walls of the Mongol Empire, that had carried the weight of Genghis Khan's vision across the vast expanse of Asia, was being taught anew. Generations that had never known the elegance of the vertical lines and the curvaceous letters now found themselves reconnecting with their ancestors through this ancient form of writing. Yet, as much as the revival of the Mongolian script brought a sense of pride, it was not without its challenges. Unlike the Cyrillic alphabet, which had become second nature to the people of Mongolia, the traditional script was intricate, with each character carrying a history of its own. Learning it was no small feat, requiring patience, precision, and a deep understanding of the symbols that had once recorded the deeds of emperors and warriors. For many, this challenge was a small price to pay, a necessary journey to reconnect with a culture that had survived centuries of turbulence and transformation. As they relearned the script, they weren't just acquiring a new skill, they were resurrecting a part of themselves. They were embracing the power of a written language that had once bound a vast empire together. An empire that, though long gone, still resonated in the hearts of those who carried its legacy. This resurgence was not merely about the letters on a page. It was a reclaiming of Mongolia's soul, a rejection of the forces that had sought to erase its past, and a proud reaffirmation that even after centuries of change and conquest, the spirit of the Mongols would never fade. As we close this chapter, let us remember, the story of the Mongolian script is a reminder of how language, like history itself, evolves with the people who use it. To uncover more stories of ancient cultures and their legacies, hit the subscribe button. And remember, behind every written word lies a story. And this was the story of the Mongol alphabet.